Hello there, Aurora Alliance, and welcome back to another Star Wars Battlefront video. Now in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is the Star Wars Battlefront Vehicles. Now the Star Wars Battlefront Vehicles, you can command AT-ATs, pilot X-Wings, TIE Fighters, Millennium Falcon, Slave 1, and many more of your favourite Star Wars vehicles. The first vehicle I'm going to talk about is the Millennium Falcon. On the surface, the Falcon looks like a worn down junker. Beneath its hull, however, she packs many powerful secrets. Its owners have made special modifications on the freighter throughout the years, boosting its speed, shielding, and performance. We can play as the Millennium Falcon in Fighter Squadron. The X-Wing. The X-Wing is available in Fighter Squadron, Supremacy, and Walker Assault. The iconic X-Wing is armed with 4 laser cannons and 2 proton torpedo launchers, and can take on anything the Empire throws at it. The X-Wing as well, I think, might come with the Force Awakens DLC, because I think the X-Wings have actually changed a little bit in the Force Awakens, so I imagine if they bring out a Force Awakens DLC, they probably will change the X-Wings for the Force Awakens DLC only. Next we move on to the A-Wing. With its sleek arrowhead shape, streamlined cockpit, and massive twin engines, the A-Wing is even faster than a TIE Interceptor and well suited for lightning strikes. Try it in Fighter Squadron, Supremacy, and Walker Assault. Now the A-Wings are really useful in Walker Assault because, as you can see when you play the game, they actually take down the Walkers pretty quickly unless you get shot. I found the A-Wings were really quite nifty and really good vehicles to use all round. I didn't find them as powerful as the X-Wing for taking down the TIE Fighters and the TIE Interceptors, but that's just my personal preference. You guys out there might actually prefer the A-Wing over the X-Wing. Now we move on to the Snowspeeder, a small wedge-shaped craft with 2 forward-facing laser cannons. In its rear arc is a harpoon gun fitted with a heavy-duty tow cable. Snowspeeder is a 2-man vessel with a pilot and a rear-facing tail gunner. Try it in Supremacy or Walker Assault. Again, the Snowspeeder I found really useful when it came to Walker Assault for taking down the Walkers. However, I didn't find it very fast, so if someone was on your tail, you didn't really have much chance of getting away from them. So if your team didn't have control of the skies, you were in a very bad situation if you were in the Snowspeeders and trying to take down a Walker. You didn't really stand too much of a chance if the pilots on the other team were of high quality and obviously could shoot you down within a few seconds of you actually spawning in. Now we get to the first of the Empire ships, which is the iconic TIE Fighter. And the TIE Fighters are single pilot vehicles designed for fast-paced dogfights with Rebel X-Wings and other starfighters. Pilot these iconic ships in Fighter Squadron, Supremacy, and Walker Assault. TIE Fighters, my experience with TIE Fighters, I didn't really like them too much, just because I felt like they were really big. I could only control them in third person, I couldn't control them in first person, just because I didn't really know where the wings actually stopped and where they started. So if I was going through any narrow gaps, I found I got caught quite a lot on the gaps and just ended up blowing up and committing suicide, and obviously losing my chance to try and take down X-Wings and A-Wings and Snowspeeders that were trying to destroy our Walkers. Although they are quite manoeuvrable and very useful for getting away from X-Wings, A-Wings and Snowspeeders. Depending on your preference, you might find that if you use the TIE Fighters enough, you're really good at them and you can judge the wings very easily and be able to get in and out of the narrow spaces without too much trouble. I just didn't have that time in the TIE Fighters in the beta to be able to get used to that enough. They just weren't at the top of my list for preference of starfighters. Now we move on to the TIE Interceptor. Faster and better armed descendants of regular TIE Fighters. TIE Interceptors are waiting for you in Fighter Squadron, Supremacy, and Walker Assault game modes. I found the TIE Interceptors were quite a lot harder to find than TIE Fighters. I found TIE Fighters were quite often around the map. It felt like the sort of X-Wings. The X-Wings were quite common. It felt like the Snowspeeders and the A-Wings were less common. Where with the Empire, it felt like TIE Fighters, really common. The AT-STs, common. TIE Interceptors, not so common. But obviously, like it says, it's faster and better armed. Maybe they didn't want you to use them too much because of how powerful they actually are, and wanted to give the Rebels a bit more of a chance to be able to take down Walkers than just throw a load of TIE Interceptors in the way in, and then the Rebels not really having much chance. Now we move on to one of the biggest vehicles you can control in Star Wars Battlefront, the AT-AT. The All-Terrain Armoured Transport, or AT-AT Walker, is a four-legged transport and combat vehicle used by the Imperial ground forces. Bring down, defend, or even jump into the AT-AT in Walker Assault. I found the actual AT-ATs were really good to use. I found them really fun. It felt like nothing could really touch you. You could just keep killing and killing and killing. Obviously you had a limited time in it. I think you had a minute in it. Every kill you got added another sort of second or 2 seconds back on. My experience with AT-ATs, they were really fun. I got quite a lot of kills with them. Like I said, it felt like no one could really compete with you. So overall the AT-ATs were just generally really fun and entertaining to be there and use. And it felt like you were actually in the movie when you were controlling these on Hoth. Now these smaller versions of the AT-ATs, the AT-STs. This two-man craft is lightly armed with chin-mounted laser cannons and side-mount weapon pods. Try it in Walker Assault or Supremacy. Now if you're really good with AT-STs, then you are going to dominate the battlefield. They were really quite hard to take down. A lot of people were using star cards to try and get rid of them, but it didn't feel like it did too much damage. You had to literally pick up the pickups around the map, the rocket launchers, and the thermal imploders. I found did quite a lot of damage to them, but again didn't finish them off. So if you are the rebels, it's going to need a few of yous or a long period of time for one person to be able to take these AT-STs down. Now the one vehicle which everyone's excited for and we haven't really seen much of, the Speeder Bike. Speeder Bike's a single driver craft that travel at very high speeds. The Empire used speeder bikes for military purposes on Lothal and Endor, while civilians use speeder bikes for everyday travel. Regardless, they require skill and fast reflexes. Master them on Endor, in Supremacy and Walker Assault. So from that little section, we know now that speeders are only going to be able to use in Supremacy and Walker Assault on Endor. That's it, only Endor. Then when we seen the speeder bikes in the newest gameplay trailer, it blew everyone's minds and everyone was so excited to really use them. Whether they'll be pickups or just laying around the map for anyone to jump in at any point, I don't know. I'd imagine there'd be pickups, otherwise you'd have a lot of people flying around on speeder bikes just running people over and blasting them out of nowhere. But I am really looking forward to use a speeder and get a video for you guys of the speeder bikes and evaluate them then. I'm not going to judge them too harshly, but at the end of the day, I think they are going to be an amazing addition to Supremacy and Walker Assault on Endor. I think that could really change the tide for the rebels. Now the final ship of Star Wars Battlefront, the one that everyone's really eager to get into along with the Millennium Falcon, is the Slave One. The deadly Slave One was infamous for its association with Jango Fett, who packed the craft with weapons from laser cannons and projectile launchers to seismic charges. Boba Fett inherited Slave One upon Jango's death by Mace Windu on Geonosis, where he cut off his head, and now you can pilot it in Fighter Squadron mode. The Boba Fett ship, or Slave One, is only going to be used by a hero pickup, and then it is going to be timed as well. You're not going to be able to just sit in the Slave One all game until you blow up. It is going to be a timed thing like in the AT-ATs. Imagine, obviously, although if you're really good with it, and it is a lot more powerful than other ships, you're going to just be able to keep killing other ships and defending your Imperial shuttle to stay in the Slave One a lot longer. I'll try and get a video of the Slave One and the Millennium Falcon for you guys when the game is released, but until then we're just going to have to speculate and watch the trailers over and over again to get a sense of what these ships are going to be like. Other than that, guys, comment down below what vehicle you're really looking forward to using Star Wars Battlefront, and smash a like if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to join the Axrora Alliance and be kept up to date with all things Star Wars every single day. Other than that, it's been Axrora, it's been good fun, and may the Force be with you.